Hi, I'm Mitch, and this is Mitchin' Games. Pretty solid intro. This is a weekly podcast that'll last somewhere between 20 to 24 minutes, and will cover a wide range of the video games, but mostly retro and obscure titles. For today, we've got Dragon Quest and how it stands in the West. Like how I made that rhyme? Street Fighter 2 and how it's milked to death. Like how I didn't make that rhyme? And Heavy Nova for the Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive. Now you'll have to forgive me for all these jump cuts I'm going to be making because um, I'm awful at speaking my mind immediately. See, I just kind of had a brain fart right there. So let us start off with Dragon Quest and how it stands in the West. Very poorly. Very poorly. The only two Dragon Quest games that I know didn't sell like absolute dog shit was Dragon Quest VIII for the PlayStation 2 and Dragon Quest IX for the DS. Which is a shame because games like Dragon Quest VII, Fragments of the Forgotten Past, are phenomenal. It's nothing short of amazing, especially when you consider how lengthy of a game it is. I think the original Dragon Quest VII on the PlayStation 1, Dragon Warrior 7. It lasted 300 hours, I think everyone was talking about. It's been a while since I've played it, so I think I clocked in like 210, something like that, doing a normal play. But everyone's touting like, oh man, it's such an expansive game. And it is. It's a very rewarding game, but a lot of people can't invest all of that time into it. Dragon Quest VII Fragments of the Forgotten Past streamlined everything. It made it more accessible, got rid of that annoying 2-hour intro, and yeah, it's fantastic. It cuts the game time in half, but it adds more content, if that makes any sense. And to do that, rebuilding the game from the ground up is nothing short of phenomenal. So it basically just boils down to what people in the market are in the mood for, obviously. Advertisement and debates about the localization have also been a bit of an issue. People have talked about how when Square Enix passed the game off to their American branch, they take way too many creative liberties with the names, the titles of spells, names of people, towns, all of that fun stuff. And they're goofy. They have a fun time with it. I don't really have an issue with it as much as other people would. For the weirdest complaint I've heard is that the spells in the Japanese game, they're onomatopoeias. So you'd have the Japanese sound for whatever the hell fire is their fire spell there. Here we have spells like kaboom, fizzle, crack, all that. It's perfectly fine, It wouldn't make sense bringing them as a Japanese name over here to America. Now, making puns out of every monster's name, that may be going a bit too far. That goes from opinion to opinion. You might like Jail Cat. You might prefer its Japanese name. I'm not sure what it is. I just know them as Jail Cats. So, that in mind, and the lack of advertisement, actually. So, you'll see occasionally like some GameStop poster or whatever, but you'll never see them heavily advertising them like the huge AAA games that are always coming out, like God forbid Final Fantasy 15. Every time I walked in GameStop, you would have those two people. You know which two people I'm talking about? The really skinny fuck boy with the beard and mustache, and he talks like this, like real nasally. And the totally epic gamer girl, that bitch. They are the bane of my existence. They'll scream and yelp the latest AAA title in an employee's ear every 10 minutes. It's always on rotation too. It's like a 10-minute cycle, and those poor bastards behind the counter have to listen to them. Pre-order at GameStop and get the all-new DLC expansion pack. power to the players kind of shit. You know, come dance the dance of death with us. They scream and holler and shout. And they do. Because then they have to ask you, hey, do you want to pre-order this game that's flashing behind me on this TV? But it's not just GameStop's shitty fault either. It's also Square Enix. Enix. I don't know how you say it, to be honest. I've just called them Square for years. Because that's what they are. Just a bunch of fucking squares. Suits who don't know what good games are. Pieces of shit. What was I talking about? I was talking about something. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's also their fault for not advertising heavily. They kind of showed little clips and bits and pieces here and there, and they'll sneak in like a 15-second reel somewhere in between all the screams of season passes and pre-orders, but nothing major to catch anybody's attention. I think because during 8, they had mentioned, oh, hey, you guys remember Akira Toriyama? You love Akira Toriyama, don't you? You'll love this. And that's basically why it's old. Just because, oh, hey, Akira Toriyama, he did Dragon Ball, didn't he? You guys like Dragon Ball? And everyone scooped it up for the PlayStation 2. They tried that with Blue Dragon, and fuck Blue Dragon. You know, I'm glad it died. When 9 was announced, they relied less on Toriyama and more on, you know, good advertisement. They hired Seth Green, who was popular at the time for, I don't know what movies he's been in. Without a Paddle, Austin Powers, Air Bud. I don't know if he was in Air Bud. He should have been. So basically, they were just really good at marketing. They knew who to hire, who would catch their attention the most, and you know, it worked. Dragon Quest IX, I think, is the best-selling game in the series here in America. So, you know, kudos to them for that. I'm not personally a huge Dragon Quest IX guy, but you know, it is what it is. I'm glad that they sold that many. It also prompted them to give us Joker 2, I think. Did we get Joker 2? Let me check real quick, actually. Yes, we did. Okay. Yeah, I had to look at my DS collection real quick. They didn't release Joker 2 Professional, which was the upgraded version with 100 plus monsters. For those of you who haven't played the Joker franchise, Dragon Quest Monster Joker, it's Pokemon. It's basically Pokemon, but better. Because it's got Dragon Quest written all over it. But their sales were lower. Significantly lower. In fact, I think Joker 2 did so bad, they opted to not even bring 3 over. And they just released a professional upgraded version of 3, I should say. Dragon Quest Monster Joker 3 Professional. Good Lord, what a title. But, you know, here's hoping for the success of 11. It's coming out on the 3DS, the PlayStation 4, the Switch, so it's striking while the iron is hot this year with the 4 and the Pro coming out and the Switch not having games at all. I think it's a vast improvement. Of course, we've got Heroes 2 as well. I've heard that it is awful, and you know, gotta get my hands on it first before I can determine that, right? Don't believe the lies of strangers on the internet. Means me. Don't believe my lies either. Let's see, moving on. Street Fighter 2 and how it's milked to death. I love Street Fighter 2. I really do. You know, it's a good game. It's a solid game. I mean, what more can I say? It's got a great roster, Excellent music, phenomenal. Um, what's the word people at Evo use now? Frames? Is that one of those memes? Frames. It's got some good frames. My boy Blanca, that green nigga, he's like C tier, so I don't give a shit. Play as him and kick anybody's ass, unless they're good at the game, in which case, by God, I'm ready to eat shit. So, it's had many revisions over the past 20 years. Damn, it is 20 years old. Holy shit. Older than that, actually, but I don't care. Let's see, there is 2 Championship Edition Hyper Fighters. That doesn't sound right. I know there was 2 Championship Edition, the new Challengers, Turbo, Hyper Street Fighter 2. I think that's what I was thinking of. That was released in the arcades and PlayStation 2 with the Anniversary Collection. The one that was drawn by those people who can't draw very well. The HD edition, I think it was. That piece is garbage. And now we have Ultra Street Fighter 2, the Final Challengers. And it's $40. It's $40. It's coming out on the Switch. Just when you think Capcom's fuckery just wouldn't stop. They're the gift that keeps on giving, of course. And people are the people that keep on giving them money. Damn, that sounded really clever in my head. Ooh, hold on. Sip of Gatorade. Yeah, no. They're morons. It's not even, from what I've seen, it's not even an improved version of Hyper Street Fighter 2. I think Hyper Street Fighter 2 is the definitive version of it, I guess, because you can choose from, all five of the previous editions before that. In that game, you can select Ryu from Championship Edition. You could select Sagat from Turbo. Yeah. It was really busted and broken. Yes, it was very unbalanced, but damned if it isn't fun. And it came with a free copy of the Street Fighter 2 movie. What could be better than that? Well, they're trying to push this new one, and it's just an updated version, I suppose, of the HD edition that nobody fucking likes. Go figure. Yes, it has balance updates, naturally, of course, but what else does it offer besides that? Jack shit. Online play? I'm not going to be doing that at an Evo tournament, am I? I can just get on GGPO and play Turbo 2 like a regular human being. Well, I mean, what else can be said, Capcom has made fun of their own jokes. Their own jokes that they spawned, like Hyper, Super Deluxe, Ultra, Turbo 2. Fucking heard it all, sister. You name it, and they've probably done it, and it just solidified it even more. Just how much they can't let money go. If it's easy money, why not? Capcom is like the cheap hooker of publishers and developers. They'll blow you for a buck. So, it's a dead horse. I can't really say much about it after that. When it comes out, I'm definitely not buying it. Day one pirate, of course. Which will be easy because Switch has already been exploited. Homebrew fucking when. Am I right, boys? And the last game we're going to be talking about today is Heavy Nova for the Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive, Sega CD, Mega CD. Whew, say that 3 times fast. It is a fighting platformer which is really weird because neither of those two things really mesh together very well, do they? Especially considering this game was made in 1991. So it was very experimental, and it feels that way. The music and the graphics are phenomenal. Everything looks and sounds as it should be. It's okay on that front. Gameplay wise, though, it's like controlling a shopping cart with an Atari 2600 controller. It's very unresponsive, and sometimes your robot just won't even do the move you want it to. Every time you press a button, it takes a whole second for the robot to react. So it controls about as well as you would expect for somebody piloting a robot for the first time. If that's what they were going for, then they struck it. They struck it home. I don't think that's a phrase, but I'm keeping that one in. I'm not going to edit this out. Uncensored. Live. Fuck. So the story's rich and deep, expansive with like lore, and it's just oozing plot, backstory, and God. All right. It's summarized in 3 paragraphs, so it's not as expansive as I thought it was, but I'll read it off. Sometime in the Earth's future, it came to mankind's realization that the Earth's natural resources were starting to decline. But despite every nation's attempts, the Earth's environment and resources continued thin. Suddenly, an alien race appeared in the solar system, hailing from the planet Akirov. Oh boy. The aliens had been observing Earth for centuries and arrived in order to save it. Okay, I'm skipping all that. Basically, they tried to enslave Earth. Earth said fuck off, and they built these robots dubbed the Heavy Dolls. Defensive, offensive, lethal liberator. I really like that. Heavy Doll. I wonder where they got that from. Yeah. Man, it's just not coming to me right now. Doll, white doll. No, I don't think there's any other media with mechs that have anything called dolls. No, certainly not Gundam. No. Oh well. So yeah, it's awful. You got 2 different segments. You got the platforming and the fighting. The platforming is a test of your will, and the fighting is also a test of your will. This entire game is a test of your will and patience. You are thrown into a pit for the fighting segment with one of the other 3 kinds of robots. You've got the tall one, the short, fat one, and the one that nobody ever picked. And they come in 2 different colors. They're not very memorable, so I don't really care. The short one will push your shit in, as you would expect. It's almost impossible to touch. It's a pain in the ass to fight. It will rush you, and it's the first opponent you fight after the first platforming segment, coincidentally. So you get a nice, hearty challenge there. Now, I'm going to be honest, I haven't played this game past the 4th level because it's just that irritating. It's that difficult and grating to just sit there and be punished, because you'll have all sorts of obstacles in the way to test your platforming fortitude. You've got landmines, lasers, bombs floating in midair, if I recall correctly. It's been a while. So all of those in mind, and you're basically controlling a mechanized shopping cart with legs. You're gonna fail quite a lot. Jumping over the mines may be the bane of my existence, because whenever there's a mine on the ground, the developers of this game, bless their souls, they were so kind to put another object that would blow you up and throw you back on top of that mine. So it's a 2-for-1 deal, basically. Now, of course, you have a bit of invincibility and you have time to get off that mine, but you got to do it real quick because, as I've said about the controls, it takes about a second or 2 before your robot says, "Oh, this asshole wants me to move forward. I guess I will. Let me just take my sweet time recovering." And, of course, there's always the risk of blowing up on that mine. Heavy Nova is a strange creature because it's not bad, but it's terrible. If you get what I'm saying. I know it's kind of contradicting myself. It's fun, I should say, if you are a glutton for punishment and you want a real challenge, because that's what this game will give you. It will give you a challenge. It might give you an ulcer. It might break your heart. I got this game along with 56 others when I was 5. Yeah, I was 5 years old, and my uncle had given me his Sega Genesis because the Nintendo 64 was like the latest thing. So my really cool aunt, by the way, had basically forced him to give her favorite nephew his Sega Genesis, which was bitchin'. Came with the CD attachment, came with a few CD games, 56 carts, 2 controllers, the 6-button controller for myself. I always used it when I played fighting games with my brother because I'm a fucking dickhead. And Heavy Nova was the first game that I had played on the Sega Genesis. It was, as a kid, I thought it was just me being a really shitty player because, that's what I used to think was I was so bad at games. But no, it turns out it's just Heavy Nova's fault all along. So yeah, that about sums it up. If you like giant robots and you like hating yourself, Heavy Nova is the game for you. That about wraps up this really short podcast. I know I don't really sound colorful or creative right now, but hopefully that'll change. I didn't come into this with a list of specifics, just really vague. I'll talk about Dragon Quest. Now talk about Street Fighter. Next time I'll have it a bit more scripted so it'll sound more natural and I won't pause to say or like and spend like 10 minutes thinking about the next thing I'm going to say. So it'll get better, I promise you. Next week we're going to be talking about Spider-Man video games, Star Wars Masters of Terrascasi, and what other crap I can dig up. Alright, I will catch you on the flip side, dog.